Hi, my name is Bonifacio Aliman, and I'm here as an MSW candidate and student at Spalding School of Social Work. Today I'm talking about my Practicum Process Reflection for our summer internship. During the summer of 2021, also my final semester of field practicum, I was guided by the 9 social work competencies that we laid out at the beginning of the semester. For competency number 1, to demonstrate ethical and professional behavior, my objective and goal was to spend 1 hour per week evaluating my ethical and professional behavior with my practicum site supervisor. I feel really happy and glad about the things we've been able to process, particularly with my interest and focus on schizophrenia and other serious mental illnesses. That 1 hour per week allows me to really talk through my understanding of diagnosis, as well as an emphasis on a non-white centered diagnosis and how that factors into serious mental illnesses within a community mental health center. My second competency was to engage diversity and difference in practice. And for this, my objective and goal I laid out was to spend 1 hour per week in team building exercises with our care managers to engage our clients in walking. We know from research that walking is good both for physical as well as behavioral health issues, and just maintaining an all-around healthy lifestyle. Spending 1 hour a week in our team meetings has been really helpful for me to learn as I grow within the profession of mental health, particularly community mental health settings, dealing with serious mentally ill clients. The third social work competency that I'll talk about today was number 3, which is to advance human rights, social and economic justice, as well as environmental justice. My objective and goal for this was to attend 4 meetings as a member of the LifeSpring Healthcare Disparities Committee. And this is one area that, or one competency and objective that I've been really happy to be able to accomplish. And not only have I been able to attend meetings as a member of this committee, but I'm also, as of the last month, now the chair of the LifeSpring Healthcare Disparities Committee. I'll spend a little bit of time talking about this because I'm very excited, given my background, both professionally and personally. This is something that's very interesting to me and something that I am happy to devote my time, talents, and treasures to. So our Healthcare Disparities Committee is tasked with addressing health disparities within the LifeSpring health system based on race. And for that, we are looking at different data markers, both in physical healthcare and as well as in our behavioral healthcare system. So it's been some very interesting work as we do challenging work, thinking about being in a profession in an agency that's predominantly white staffed and talking about issues that predominantly affect Black people, people of color, Indigenous people, BIPOC, if you will. As a side note, I'm also up for a second and final interview next week on August the 4th for our Health Equity Program Manager position that is now open and available. I think a culmination of my undergraduate and graduate experience as well as my professional experience up to now makes me a great candidate, and I think I'm probably going to get the job, and so I'm looking forward to developing that plan for the LifeSpring Health System that spans 14 counties in southern Indiana to address health disparities based on race. So very interesting work, and I'd love to talk to some folks about that if you're interested. So moving on to competency number 4 for social work, and that is to engage in practice-informed research and research-informed practice. My objective and goal for this competency was to spend 2 hours per month conducting ANSA assessments for a total of 8 hours over the course of the semester. If you're unfamiliar with the ANSA, that stands for Adult Needs and Skills Assessment, which is a very broad tool and assessment system used. I know in Indiana that Medicaid and other agencies require that to assess a level of need in the assessment actually assigns a level of need as you go, and that's what is used to determine what services are warranted and what services insurance companies will pay for and things like that. So very standardized but very powerful tool, and one that's, at least in Indiana, you need to be trained specifically in that once or twice a year, or the range for retesting is 6 months to 2 years, depending on how well you score. So very important tool, but also it's been very good to get practice doing that research informed practice, but also practicing informed research and understanding how assessment tools really help us dig down and figure out where we can offer services to clients. Moving on to competency number 5, this was to engage in policy practice. I do have a little bit of a history professionally in policy practice, so I didn't spend a whole lot of time developing this, but my goal and objective was to spend 1 hour per month participating in agency-wide diversity training for a total of 3 hours over the semester. I do believe that our diversity training is tied directly to policy practice within our agency, but also to a larger policy practice at large. I'm able to use some of the policy work that I've done in the past, such as minimum wage work, band box work, and right to vote in Kentucky work, to really inform that diversity training and to make it richer. So yeah, I love policy work. Moving on to competency number 6, and that is to engage with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. For this one, my objective and goal was to engage and train 4 adults for 4 sessions each on stress and anxiety management. In personal and mental health fields, particularly within therapy, there seems to be 2 schools of thoughts. One school of thought is about symptom management, and the other one is about healing. Very interesting dichotomy there that I'm able to deep dive into conversations with both of my on-site supervisors about, and understanding that when dealing with serious mental illness, oftentimes it will be symptom management, but to always be on the lookout for opportunities to heal with people or to heal people. So that leads me to stress and anxiety management, which was one thing or one skill training that I do with clients that I like to do. It's repetitive, and I think you can never have enough practice with anxiety and stress management, but some of that those techniques are controlled breathing. A lot of them are controlled breathing and movements. And so that works well for people. And honestly, they say, or at least I've heard it be said, that it takes 18 to 31 days of doing something every day repetitively for it to become a habit. So I'm trying to get folks down that path of repetition, doing things to be able to build those skills. Very interesting work. And now for competency 7, and that was to assess individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. And for this, my goal and objective was to conduct 2 LASI assessments per month for a total of 6 hours of assessment over the course of the semester. And the LASI assessment is life stream specific, and that stands for life skills. Life skills inventory, life skills assessment inventory, I'm sorry. And so what this does is, in terms of care management, this helps us hone down on where clients and care management needs and how we can help individuals. Oftentimes, when it comes to talk of care management, it can be a vague and gray area for folks. So this is good. Doing these assessments is really good for both the practitioner as well as the client in terms of reaching clarity and agreement, while keeping it client focused and client empowered on what the client chooses to work on with care management. Competency number 8 was to intervene with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. And for this objective, my goal was to train 2 clients in crisis management per month for 1 hour each for a semester total of 6 hours. Doing mental health work this day and age, particularly with seriously mental ill clients, I do find myself training clients in crisis management fairly often, but I'm happy to continue to do that and to explore ways with my supervisor and coworkers on how to teach people those crisis management skills. One activity that I did in a group setting was to create crisis or sensory boxes. Oftentimes, clients with that are seriously mental ill benefit from sensory input, particularly exercises such as getting in touch with our five senses, things like that. And working with clients to find what helps them manage crisis, oftentimes is bringing our mind and our body back into alignment. And so that's why I oftentimes rely heavily on the five senses and controlled breathing exercises and a few other things within this. But I like to frame it in a way that we create toolboxes. And so in one activity, we actually took plastic boxes and decorated them and made them physically boxes for crisis management. And the last competency, number 9, was to evaluate practice with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. And for this, I set my objective and goal to spend 1 hour per week reflecting on my practice with my job supervisor, who is also an LCSW trauma therapist. And she's also a supervisor for the care management team in our adult behavioral services division. The impact of having the supervision daily with my clients and the ability to talk through clients and diagnosis, symptom management, and healing is invaluable to my practice as a professional. I've also had the opportunity to talk about different modalities, what modalities to use for different diagnoses and different symptoms, and how to differentiate and understand and pick the appropriate modality for that. The other thing this has been really good for me is to help prep for the LSW exam in Indiana and the licensure process and kind of that transition that will be happening in the next few months towards the end of the fall semester for me. And so in addition to some of the 9 competencies, I was able to do some things through my practicum that I'm very happy about that I wanted to mention that probably, they obviously do fall within the competencies, but they were things that I did not write into my goals and objectives at the beginning of the semester. And so I wanted to just mention them here briefly. The first thing that I was happy and grateful for was the ability to shadow my supervisor, who is a licensed clinical social worker, in therapy sessions. Seeing that therapy happen firsthand was really, really helpful for me. And what we did, as she saw the client in person, she used her computer, and we used our Google Meet so that I could watch from a distance. And so sitting on those sessions has been really helpful. Another thing that I'm pretty excited about is that I had an article published in our monthly newsletter in July, actually this month, on why we should not use the word Caucasian, particularly in medical, legal fields, etc. And I put a hyperlink in there if you'd like to read that. I didn't really say anything new, but I'm very proud of it and glad that the agency chose to publish it. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that I did get training on trauma-informed care through IU because of my job, and the training was actually offered for free, and I was able to get 6 continuing education credits for that as well. Amazing training, and I do see myself in the future as being a healer and a trauma therapist. So that was a great foundation for me, which kind of led into the training. The next training that I did, I was able to get trained in the NIFLE racial trauma therapy model, which, if you're not familiar, Dr. Stephen Nifley Jr., who is the associate director at the, I can't think of it now, be the therapy center on campus in the behavioral health department. And Dr. Nifley has created a racial trauma therapy modality, and I am honored and grateful to be trained in that and hope to be able to use that in my future work with clients. But I did put a link in there to his website. I think he does some amazing work and has 4 books out I'm looking forward to reading. So that kind of wraps up my summer semester for my practicum as an MSW candidate at Spalding University School of Social Work. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. Thank you.